Everybody's here in person for today. That's like pretty much it. But we are here to talk about the Challenge All Stars Season 2, Episode 7? 6. Sorry, I wanted to skip this one and go to 7 because like I wasn't feeling it. It was good till the end.
It's another episode where I'm leaving like
a little irritated, dissatisfied,
and we're just gonna like get right into why. Yet another week of someone leaving who doesn't deserve it, and also who doesn't really do anything to like get eliminated. Like
it felt like a set, like I don't know, like you said, it just doesn't make sense. They're not deserving, and it's really not like, I don't know, I guess like for us, like we're fans of these people. Yeah. So it's annoying. Maybe if I wasn't a fan of them I wouldn't care.
I'd write it off a little. I think
I would still be a little annoyed.
I would still be irritated.
I think I would still be irritated just the way it happens. Like whenever it happens like that, it's just so annoying. That's like when they're pairs and like, okay, like when Devin and Corey ended up home.
Yeah, they both went home.
Right? But it was really because of one person.
Because of Corey, yeah.
Yeah, right? Like they were both wrong. They were both doing things that were wrong. But the person that did something that actually made them go home
was Corey. It
wasn't Devin. And so it's like,
I don't
that's not really fair. And I get it. But if they kept that rule. They don't keep that same energy all the time.
I know. That's like the thing is, I understand it's fun sometimes to be like, oh, this like random twist. Like but like the difference is last week Kendall went home and then they're like, okay, well we can't do a team elimination, so it has to be single. Therefore only one person's going home because technically Kendall's going home. So we need 2 people to go. We'll just do one person. Yep. But then it's like, but now Tyler's being thrown into elimination that he didn't really lose because like, he was partnered with Jasmine.
Okay, but let's be right. So that's wrong. But then when it came down to him and Latarian did beat him.
Yeah.
Rightfully.
He at least got an opportunity.
In that moment, okay, yes, you go home, you lost. But him even having to be down there in the first place and then having to be the only one. Like, it would have even been more fair if she had to go as well. Mm-hmm. Right? Because she was pretty much the reason why he was down there at all.
Yeah.
She was the part of the pair that made them lose. And then she's the one that gets to go home with a life shield.
Yeah, that's another thing that I forgot about. She didn't win anything.
Why did she have a life shield? She didn't win.
Exactly.
She shouldn't have had one. I forgot about that too.
I know. I'm like,
and I don't dislike Jasmine. Please, I do not dislike Jasmine. I'm just saying the situation was annoying. And then it's like, so then for them to do that last week, and then for this week for him to be like, well, it's pairs, so Kahana, you have to go because Casey's pregnant, and it's like, but that's not what happened last time, and it's just like.
It's also like, okay, why are we waiting? Like, we've built up this whole episode. We're gonna cover it, but like, I just want to talk about like my immediate thoughts. Is like we are building up this whole episode of like, oh my god, like the king's palace is going up against the other side of the house, and like, oh my god, it's like really intense with Brad and Nehemiah
because they're friends outside of the house, but they're not aligned in the house. So
which like I was invested in like the story, but then all of a sudden
I was
it's
too,
like,
but I was so annoyed because Nehemiah kind of annoys me. So him getting like that was just like, I was like, oh.
In the beginning, then he kind of was like,
it together,
okay.
And that's why I think, to be honest, he's probably one of those people that I don't love on the show, but might like in person.
Yeah.
Right.
So
he gives those vibes.
It was just then to go down, and then immediately as soon as TJ was like, so I have good news and bad news, I'm like, well, okay, that's great. Like,
well, I knew because when the show premiered, Casey was pregnant, but she wasn't like newly pregnant. She was pretty far along, and they filmed this very quickly. Like the turnarounds
are a lot quicker.
Like they're quick on the regular shows, but they're like double as quick for these All-Star shows.
It's probably like about a month or so.
Yeah, like a month or 2, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, she would have been pregnant on the show, and I kept kind of thinking about that in the back of my mind. And then when they showed her, they showed her a lot,
talking to her husband,
or her fiance.
Like,
technically, it wasn't her husband.
Yeah,
whatever. If we're gonna be technical,
but like
her boyfriend of many years that she's about to be married to, or might be now at this point. I don't follow her, so I don't know. Yeah. But I was like, the minute she said, "Oh, and I'm not even on my period," I was like I knew. I was like, she's pregnant.
And so also, they're not going to let her stay on the show.
No, because it's a liability.
Yeah.
It's not safe for you to be sitting on your stomach like that. Like, you know what I mean? It's just not. It sucks, but it's not. Like, and there are only times, like there was a season back in the, I think it was like Battle of the Sexes, that someone was pregnant. And they, like, came on being, like, pregnant, which was weird, and they kind of let them do it, but they were eliminated. They weren't on it like the whole time, but it wasn't, or they chose, I can't remember if they were eliminated or chose to go home. You could totally correct me in the comments because I literally can't remember, but it was something like that. And I remember thinking, oh, that's cool. But then I remember thinking, wait, that's not really safe, right? But that was years and years ago. And so then now the most recent time this happened,
Natalie on Double Agents.
Yeah, no, okay. So even more the one previous before that, what's her name made it to the final. Can't remember her name right now. Correct me.
Oh, Janae.
No. She had just had a baby. That was different. She wasn't pregnant.
Right,
there was someone on the it was a season before.
Total Madness?
Yeah. It was on Total Madness. And she was pregnant. She made it to the final. And then at the final she was just like, I'm sick, like I don't think I can do this. And then she found out she was like hella pregnant, like 4 months pregnant, and then she had a baby. And it's like, but she didn't know, right? So production didn't know, so they allowed her to go that long. But that's different. This is like Casey found out. But I'm also like, this is what me and you were talking about. Okay, no offense, but like,
why are you going on a show
if you are in your 30s, right, at her age? She was trying to get pregnant, right? You get off the birth control, you're trying to get pregnant. If she's counting the days, you're trying to get pregnant, right? So,
or you're at least expecting a baby.
A possibility, like, or something. So it's like, why would you, I get it, it's an opportunity and whatever, but like, it's just annoying because it ended up screwing over someone else, and I know she didn't mean to, so it's like, it's not blame on her, but I also don't understand, if you are thinking, I want to be pregnant right now, you don't go on a physical show.
That on top of...
Stupid. It's just like, wasting everybody's time, unfortunately.
Even if, say for example, like you didn't get pregnant, like, okay, that's fine. But if you get pregnant, like, say later, where it's like, okay, now you're this close to like being in the final and then you have to go home, it's like, why are you doing that to yourself? Yeah. It's like, this is like purely a decision that you're making to like have a baby, which is fine. But it's like, why would... That doesn't make sense.
Your timing's not adding up. Right? Like,
no.
This is technically a once in a lifetime experience. You didn't think you'd be back on the show. You chose to go on the show. Why? If you're only filming for like a month and a half, right? It's much shorter than the regular show. Why did you try to get pregnant right before that? Why wouldn't you do it right after? And I understand, like maybe we don't know she has fertility stuff, so she wasn't sure. Like it was rare that she would get pregnant, or she wasn't sure, and they've been trying for a long time. There's a lot of factors that could be into it, but at the end of the day, it just is kind of like it doesn't annoying. Make sense.
It's not her personally. It's just again the situation of having Kohada to go home, but because of her makes no sense.
Kendall's the only one that had to go home. Like, and they do that all the time. Like half the time, it's like this pair, they have to go as a pair, and the other time, it's like,
oh, just this person, and then we'll pair you up with someone else.
And I get it. It's like, you can make your own rules, you can change stuff, but I hate that it's like...
It's already a short season. It's already a short season. That's why I don't understand.
And
it's not like...
And it just gives favoritism, right? It makes it too obvious to the audience, and it's annoying. Like, I'm like, okay, so why do you care about this person, but you don't care about this person?
It's the fact that it's Kohada is what annoys me, because he was so very clearly like close to like being like emotional. Like, I know he was trying to hide it in his confessional, but you could tell like, if you rewatch it,
okay,
he was
I finally
so close.
Came back on this show. I'm really in a good spot, and then I have to leave because of something 100% out of my control.
And like I felt so terribly for him, because it's like, he is playing like a good game. Like, he has not been really considered
and he's
once.
always deserved to go to a final, and he hasn't. And he was literally right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyways, that's
just like the overall like kind of thoughts on it. It's just another episode where I'm liking the story up until I can see where it's going, and then I'm like, I don't like it.
Well, and also it's like, I get it, filming her like doing the pregnancy test and whatever, but it's like, it also is just like so staged.
that on top of
like she didn't just like why would you be bringing a pregnancy test? Like why are you trying to get pregnant when you're going to film a physical reality TV show that films for a small period of time? So that's why it's like maybe she brought it, but I'm also like maybe she didn't and she thought she might be, and production was like, okay, here you go, and then you're gonna take it out and do a dramatic scene. I'm sure that's what they did. It makes the story cohesive and go together. Like I get it, but it was just like I said, like the minute she said something about like, oh, I'm not even on my period, and then I remembered, oh, this girl is like
pregnant right now.
I was like, this bitch is fucking, she's gonna go home because she's pregnant. Like it just like totally gave it away. And then when they did that whole scene, I was like, okay, we get it. Like she's pregnant. Like like what is this gonna mean? And then at first I was like, hey, I didn't want her to go home, but then what really bothered me was when it made Kohada go home too. And I know, like, I don't have anything against her. I don't have anyone being pregnant. I have 3 kids. Like, I love be pregnant, right? It's just
the situation.
It's just so
annoying.
Like, why now? Why not a month from now? Why?
Yeah.
And it's like maybe she got the call last minute too, right? Maybe she was trying to get pregnant, and then she got the call, and I was like, well, I might be pregnant, I might not be pregnant, but okay, they're giving me the opportunity, I'm gonna go. Like maybe they didn't give them that much of advance, but it has to be at least 10 days in advance, right? Because they have to quarantine because of COVID.
This is the thing, is I'm more irritated at the challenge producers, whoever's like getting people together, because if you're not asking these people like, okay, if you're not testing and like positive pregnancy, are you trying, like, is this a possibility? Because we can't cast you and then like in a few weeks like find out you're pregnant, and then
because also like that inconveniences everyone, but it also is not safe for you, so we cannot have you.
I know, and it's like this has happened multiple times recently. This has happened like Natalie Double Agents, like and that was pretty like 4 or 5 episodes in, and I'm like, and
that's sad too because she didn't even end up having the baby, right? And then we haven't had her back, and
it's like,
so it's like we got someone that we love that just got taken away. And it was the same thing. It was like Casey came back and she's been like a good player that I enjoy watching.
Yeah, like I didn't even want Casey to go, but I was like, okay, if Casey isn't pregnant, then fine, she can leave the game, whatever. But then to have Kohada like leave too, and I understand some people are like, well, that's just how it works. It's like, okay, yeah, that
but
doesn't mean I'm not.
Worked last week.
That's not how it worked last week, and it's also like I can be upset about it because it makes no sense.
It just it does.
The consistency isn't there, and that's what's annoying me. And it's just like an overarching theme of the challenge not being consistent with things.
Like, why are you casting people that don't really want to be there when they have a big pool of people that they can cast from? That would want to be there, that could be there the whole time. And I'm not saying she didn't want to be there. I'm just saying like they do cast people that literally leave, right?
Yeah.
And you can't fully control that, but it's like
you can't control injuries. It doesn't make it annoying when this most recent season you have like 4 or 5 people leaving for either injuries, personal reasons. It's like I get it, but when you have a cast that big and they're not leaving like right away, so it's like they're leaving after people have already gone home, so now you're like making the pool that much smaller already, and then they try to do damage control by like not having eliminations later in the season. It's like, I don't like that.
No, I'm just like, I don't know, maybe it's like the Capricorn in me, but I'm like, I like my rules to be set, you know, even if I don't like them, at least I know what's happening, and everyone is held to the same standard. It's this like,
it's not even the fact that they're like partners now. It's like, okay, they're partners, cool. Last week we literally had a situation where Jasmine and Latrarian got teamed up because Tyler went home. Right. Why can't we have something similar this week where it's like, okay, instead of these people going in,
if a girl's going home, that means it's another. Maybe you want to know why they might have done it, because last week a girl went home and they had to do the male elimination. This would be another male elimination.
But she would be going home too.
I know. I'm just saying, like, maybe that's why they're like, we're not going to use the same thing twice. But like, whatever. Anyways, annoying. We've been talking about this for like 10 minutes, yeah, so we're just gonna go over the episode really quick. Basically, we start off with coming back with like Melinda and who was it? Latrarian, Nehemiah, Melinda, Tech, Ayana and Jasmine celebrating, and then because of like the pairing, Ayana and Jasmine are now part of the Alliance, and what's it called? We know the name now. The King's Palace. Okay. But very obnoxiously.
Yeah, and this is the thing that
bothered me. And they're not understanding that, like...
Yeah, okay, it's not the fact that you're, like, cheering. It's the fact that you're, like...
Making it very clear that it's everything they were saying. Like Janelle was saying, you're making it very clear that there's a line in the stand. It doesnesn't mean I dislike you. It doesn't mean we can't be friends outside of the game.
It doesn't mean that you can't cheer. It's just, like,
those...
That then causes us to be like, okay, well, you're very clearly the next biggest target.
Right?
And then they're like, I don't get, like... We're cheering because, like, we've all gone in, which is true. They all have, like, Nehemiah, Tech, Letarian.
That's true.
Like, they've all gone in, but it's like, you're also being kind of...
But that's the thing, is, like, that's why you keep your alliances slightly under wraps, so you do not make yourself a target. Like, yes, if you want to be bold and loud, that's fine, but what comes with that is...
But then you're going to be targeted.
Being a target. And I just didn't understand why they couldn't get that. I felt like they were like, but we're the underdogs.
They're, like, purposely trying to, like, make themselves, like the victims.
And I'm like, you're not a victim. They're not even trying to bully you or be mean.
They're just like, you guys are very obnoxiously singing, very obnoxiously
but then I'm gonna
cheering.
Be real. When Nehemiah said why he named it what he named it and the way that he articulated that, I was like, okay, it gives it before it was giving it this like obnoxious thing, and then it gave it a lot more meaning.
True,
but still, like, it still
like
did
we're
what
also
it did.
6 episodes in, and now we're just finding out that's the reason. It feels very like perfectly timed of like, okay, we know that they're coming off bad, we're going to then present this instead of like presenting it from the beginning, which like I just personally am kind of annoyed with like the group.
Maybe the way production is choosing
to edit it.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest,
but like personally, I think all of them are great competitors.
Yeah, I like
it's
all
just
of
like
them.
They're coming off very weird this season, and like I don't know why. Like I just don't like whatever is going on.
They're giving very much double standard and victim mentality, and that's just never that attractive.
No.
Right? Like, being an underdog is great. You want to root for, like, most people want to root for the underdog. But when the underdog becomes, like, the bully asshole, like, vibe, you're not an underdog to me anymore. And then it's like, I don't care.
And again, that could just be the editing. But, like, I personally just like Brad and Jody more than like Nehemiah, especially.
Yeah, it's really more Nehemiah.
Like, I do like Tech, and I like Letarian, but like
but then they're hit or miss with me because of who they end up aligning.
It's like
with.
when they're grouped together,
I'm
just
not
is
a fan,
like annoying.
But when they're separate, they are. I don't know, whatever. Anyways,
the daily challenge.
So then we have the daily challenge, which was a really cool one this episode.
Yes.
I like this. I love when they're on the cars. They were on this car, and the girls were having to get these flags of these motorcycles that were driving by.
Beam that like the guy is,
and the guys had to
moving.
control the beam for them to be able to get from side to side to the flags.
You just had to collect
people
as many as you
did
could.
Pretty average. It was pretty average.
Nehemiah
and then some
and
people
Melinda
really did good, and then there was like 2 sets that didn't. Like, it was very
clear.
Yeah, it was
like
very
clear.
Was. And so basically, Jody and Brad won, which is no surprise.
And Nehemiah and Melinda were
very
one
close.
flag behind.
Yeah, and then Jasmine and Letarian were dead last. But
I didn't see that one coming. Like, I'm sorry.
What was also annoying though is that they were like, "Oh darn, we're last," and I was like, because they know they have the life shield, and I get it, but it was also like, you should act like you care a little bit. This is a sign, regardless of this competition, that maybe you don't work that well together, and you're not gonna have a life shield next week. So we'll see. And I like both of them. I'm just saying.
Just together, no. Like,
yeah,
I'm like,
together,
Jasmine is
but also
just, like,
Jasmine is short like me. Like, I think she's like 5 foot.
Yeah,
she is short like me.
I'm
so
not gonna attack Jasmine.
And
it's
Jody
just like,
is tall, right? So that's definitely,
you know, they definitely do have like
advantages,
disadvantages. Because same thing with like Melinda and Nehemiah. Like, Nehemiah like doesn't need to be tall, but like Melinda being a little bit more
on the taller side.
Like, helps because you have better reach. Whereas
true.
like Jasmine
if
doesn't,
he doesn't
and like
swing her over there at the right,
which is what was happening. They weren't going all the way over, so then
she definitely had no chance. She couldn't extra reach. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like Letarian can only push it so far because he's on like a platform and like
yeah, that's true.
So I can understand it just. The way he came off and like she came off of like, oh, like, well, we have the life shield, and it's like, okay, yeah, but
it was also like,
you didn't earn your life shield. Letarian did. That's why it's like bothers me.
And then also it was like, okay, but then like your alliance members then go in.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't. I mean, it's a win for you personally, but overall, it's still kind of a loss. So you should have cared a little more. Whatever. So then Brad and Jody are like, okay, we win. Like, obviously, we don't have very many options. Like at this point, the only other people that we can put up that are on the other side of the house, very clearly on the other side of the house, is Nehemiah and Melinda. And it's not against them, because neither one of them really had a thing against them. And particularly Brad is like, I do have a personal relationship with Nehemiah, but in this house, we are not aligned.
And like,
so what am
Nehemiah
I supposed
really
to do?
can't be mad at Brad, because it's like, did you approach him at all to be a part of the alliance? And like,
I think that is the thing. They didn't
saying.
Communicate, but it's also like, if you were, you know, just because you're good friends outside of the game doesn't mean that you're friends in the game, and that's actually possible and okay. But it's like, if you were that good of friends and you really thought like you should be loyal to each other, then you should have been aligned. You should have brought him into your alliance. You never tried.
It comes down to, and Brad was talking to Janelle about this, and Janelle was very apprehensive about
because she just didn't want to have Nehemiah like manipulate him, I think.
Yeah, and Brad was saying like, okay, if it comes down to someone like Tech, Latarian, Melinda versus me, I know I'm going in. And it was the same thing for everyone else on that side of the house.
Well, it's also like Nehemiah says, I would never say your name, and I was saying this to you. Okay,
up until a certain point.
Up until a certain point, right? And you can say that because it hasn't happened. But also, okay, but your side is much smaller. So when two of your people have a life shield, and your other two are already going in, and you're the only other two left,
what do you expect?
And everybody else is technically still aligned with Brad. You just wanted him to screw his own game over.
It just didn't make sense to
he didn't want to do it, but he had no choice. He even had to get down to the point where he
put in Kohetta.
He put Kohetta and Casey in, because he felt like if he put in Darrell and Janelle, even though it was kind of their turn, he's so much closer with them that he was like, I can't do that. And like, Kohetta and Casey weren't gonna be voted in because we have the numbers, but it was still like he couldn't take the risk of pissing off Darrell. I think
that's another thing I didn't think about that irritates me, is Casey being like, oh, I don't want to get voted in, and then blah blah blah. It's like, well, had we known Casey was going to go home anyway, I kind of wish she would have gotten voted in so Kohetta could go up.
I don't know. It was weird.
The whole situation is so
weird.
Annoying.
But that's pretty much the episode. That's what
Nehemiah
happened.
and Brad like rekindle, like
they talked
Brad
about
gets emotional and like
his Scorpio
whatever
came out.
and like now the fact that like neither of them went home is just like so annoying, because I really wanted the drama of
fallout, but it seems like it's really just going to be more of drama between Tech and Ayana and like Jody in the house. So
which doesn't make sense, because like Jody's so unproblematic.
She is, but she gets like what Amber gets.
Yeah, it's
she
like people are
gets hate
jealous
because she's pretty and she's good at things, and because she is like calm about it. Like they want to hate her because they're jealous of her, but there is nothing to hate.
That's
so
why
they
it's
just blindly like attack.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It happens to people.
I love Jody, love Brad. I'm honestly hoping that they go far.
If they don't win, it'll be because they fuck up and they somehow get them in there, and then they fuck up in there.
Yeah, no, because they said that the pairs aren't going to switch.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Or if one of them gets injured.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I don't think will happen.
No, I don't think so. So
that's really it.
That's it. Until next week. Like I said, I wanted to skip to episode 7, but this was episode 6. Yeah. Next week we'll be back on Zoom talking about episode 7. But in order to keep up with us talking about it, you're going to need to like, comment, share, subscribe.